I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Welcome back to Oops the Podcast, everybody. I'm Giulio Gallerati. Happy March. I'm joined by Puxatani Francis.
Oh!
He did not see his shadow, which means spring's a coming.
That's right.
Is that true? Is that what it is?
If the groundhog does not see its shadow, then spring comes more quickly. But he did see his shadow this year, supposedly.
So apparently there's another one of him on Long Island who did not see his shadow, according to New York One.
I believe in Punxsutawney Phil. That's the OG.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Immortalized by Bill Murray's wonderful film, Groundhog Day. How many times have you seen that movie?
Only once.
I've seen it probably 7 times. It's a very rewatchable movie.
It's very good.
Of course, is the irony given how it's the theme of it.
The same day. Have you seen the movie Palm Springs?
I have.
I liked it, and that's kind of similar to the Groundhog Day theme.
Time warp.
I didn't want to like it.
Time loop, excuse me. Why didn't you want to like it?
Because there's something where I'm just kind of I want to dislike things Andy Samberg does, and he just repeatedly shows me that he's
very talented.
He just does. He
talented.
works on great stuff, man. And the Lonely Island stuff didn't age well, but at the time it was the shit. It was hilarious.
Dude, I think if you go back and watch Jizz in My Pants, first of all, the music is really good.
Very good.
The music of they're talented musicians.
Yeah, definitely. He's very talented.
Yeah, they're really talented.
And
all those guys.
I like that movie. I recommend that at least. Palm Springs. I watched it on the plane to Palm Springs.
Oh,
would you look at that?
How fun is that?
So, dude, I have a funny update for you. My dad is just at it again, dude. So I drove him to get his vaccine.
Fun.
Which he qualifies for. He got it, and then when I dropped him off at the Javits Center, he goes, "Hey, can you go to Court Street Pastry and buy 6 cheesecakes?" Court Street Pastry, it's not actually that far from here. You should check it out.
Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah, really, you know it?
Well, I know Court Street.
So we've been getting pastries there my whole life. And the cheesecake is really fucking good. And anyway, people were giving me shit. They're like, "Oh, you're on a diet. Why are you eating fucking pastries?" I was like, "I'm not getting them for myself. I didn't need any."
What, did you take a picture or something?
I took a video when I was in there the other day.
Oh.
So anyway, you know that the 2 vaccines, there's 3 weeks between them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he gets the first vaccine. We get 6 cheesecakes. He comes back in a couple of days ago for his second vaccine. He goes, "Hey, when you drop me off, can you go get 6 cheesecakes?"
Why is 6 his number?
I go, "What the fuck happened to the other 6 cheesecakes? It's only been 3 weeks. What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I gave one to Zio Butch. I gave one to Joanne." I'm like, "What is this cheesecake laundering?" It's happening. "Oh, you're giving all the cheesecakes away, huh?" "Yeah, sure, dude."
Oh, boy.
Fucking guy loves cheesecake. I mean, they are good cheesecakes, but Zio Butch is my uncle, by the way. Zio is what an uncle is called in Italian.
Let me tell you something.
He goes by Butch.
I love that.
It's a good name.
Zio is what? Uncle?
Uncle. Zio Butch. It's my boy.
All right. So here's the thing, Giulio. Cheesecake, to me, is the most hit or miss dessert in the game.
I agree. This cheesecake's really good.
Okay.
I think it's just plain cheesecake. Nothing on it. It's light as a feather. It's really fucking good. I think you'd like it.
What's the one in Times Square that everyone likes that's so famous?
I forget, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Juniors or something?
Juniors, yeah. Do you think that is good cheesecake?
I don't know if I've ever had it, but probably not. It's probably too dense and too
sucks.
It's gross. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you,
sucks.
Give it a try. Give this cheesecake a try.
All right. I like a blueberry cheesecake that is homemade, very dense, with a crumbly graham crackery crust.
Okay, that isn't necessarily what you'll get here, but I'm sure on my next 6 cheesecake run, I'll tack one on top of it. I'll get you one.
Yeah, bring one for the boys. One for the boys.
So my dad was bragging about how he didn't have any side effects. He goes, "Our family," he goes, "the Gallerati's, we were built to farm with our hands." I'm like, "Dude, you're a professor." I was like, you make up yard work for yourself. I've seen him rake 1 leaf. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and also it sounds like the side effect for him is wanting 6 cheesecakes every time he gets a vaccine. That's not a normal craving. It's not even a pregnancy craving. That is simply a Pfizer vaccine craving. Do you know
For
if he
quote Joanne.
Did he get Pfizer?
Yeah, Pfizer.
I think Pfizer to me seems like the gold standard, even more than the Moderna.
Why do you say that?
Well, Moderna is the one that needs to be transported at sub-zero temperatures. Is that
Interesting.
right?
I don't actually know.
Maybe I have it flip-flopped.
Let's see if Chris can get on the horn here. I agree with you. To me, Pfizer is the gold standard one.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, why am I just saying that because I recognize Pfizer and I never heard Moderna until the vaccine
I think
talk?
that's right. I think if Johnson & Johnson had come out with the first vaccine, I might have more belief in them. And there's
Totally.
also something about a silent P that I just love. Pfizer. You want to say it, Pfizer, but you don't. Silent P takes a lot of to pull off.
Dude, that's very funny.
Dankeschön.
Dude, it's very good. I don't know if you noticed, but after our soap and moisturizer conversation,
Lots.
I switched your soap and moisturizer. I went upstairs before I left and I switched them. And I wasn't sure.
You dirty cunt.
Chris saw me do it.
You dirty
I have a witness.
mofoca. No, I didn't notice because after that conversation, I stopped using those altogether.
Chris said that to me. Chris said that to me.
Those are out. Those are dead to me. Those fucking vessels for cream and soap are dead because I'm never gonna get it right. You know what would have been even more diabolical is if you had somehow emptied them into separate jars and then refilled with the wrong liquid
That's funny.
so that the soap contained the lotion and the lotion contained the soap.
Have you ever seen the movie Amélie?
That is exactly what I was thinking of, but it's such an esoteric reference that I thought there's no reason to bring this up. There's no chance that he will have seen this movie and remember that scene.
One of my favorite movies.
She changes the foot cream with the
To the
toothpaste.
toothpaste, yeah.
And the toothpaste with the foot cream.
Yes.
On that day where she just fucks the guy's day up completely.
She's getting revenge on him for being rude to the Moroccan fruit guy.
treating his his helper badly. Yeah.
That's a really good movie.
brilliant
If you
movie.
guys are into, if you don't speak French, I don't speak French. I know Francis does. If you're into foreign films, this is a really fucking good one. And I bet that on like a modern TV, it's so colorful.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a really soothing movie. When I was in high school, I used to watch it stoned. It's a great movie to watch high.
Yeah, it's the movie that a lot of substitute teachers would play when your French teacher was sick. But it's really good. It's a really good movie. And by the way, I have an interesting thought,
Great.
which I kind of have stumbled upon. It's this. So, people ask me for book recs a lot from the pod because I rec a lot of books on here. And one thing that I would recommend is there were a lot of books that I was assigned to read from high school through college, which I either spark noted or, skimmed or just faked completely. Not a ton, but enough because I just had, especially in college, I couldn't keep up. There was too much reading to do. Going back now and reading with no pressure of homework assignments or comprehension expectations at your leisure, books that were assigned is actually really nice.
Interesting.
And I'll throw a couple titles out for you. The Great Gatsby, right?
Classic.
Reading that book as an adult, as opposed to as a high schooler who barely knows how to read and, knows that you have a test coming up on it and is not having fun reading it whatsoever. That's a great book to read as an adult.
Definitely.
there-
That's also another good movie to watch high. Robert Redford, Great Gatsby.
Oh, the original one,
Very
not the
good.
Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Not the new one. It's a really good high watch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some other ones, I don't know. I mean, there were books in college that I don't think people would have been assigned normally, but they're Lolita by Nabokov.
Another great movie to watch high.
Good God. Is it really?
It's one of Stanley Kubrick's first movies.
No, but
It's
to
amazing.
watch high?
Yeah, it's great. It's a good movie to watch.
Interesting.
It'll fuck you up. You're like, how were they allowed to make this movie?
Yeah. Nabokov's Lolita. There is there were so many. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Some of these books, you know, when you have the ability to actually take your time and read them for yourself and for fun. First of all, for me, it felt like I was filling in holes in my life. I had a very marginal, slimmer vestige of guilt for having not read them fully for my education. You know?
Yeah.
Just a very tiny, nagging thought of like, you know, I kind of faked my way through some of these courses.
Just like
whatever.
not remembering Holden Caulfield's deal. You're like, I should have paid attention.
Yeah, when you spark notes what's considered a classic book, you're kind of, it sucks a little bit.
You're robbing yourself a little bit.
A little bit. So to go back, you absolve yourself of that guilt. And I promise you, finishing one of those books that you spark noted or breezed through or just hated reading because you felt you had to, now it feels rewarding. I promise you. That's what I would say.
That's good. So, dude, and this is so sad that like these are all books you've read and I've watched the movie. I watched Frankenstein. I believe it's from 1933. Can you check this?
That's old. Black and white, right?
Yeah, it's like right when like sound was introduced. I think 1927. I think was the first movie with sound, right? The jazz singer. I
wouldn't have known that. I don't know why I agreed to that.
What year was Frankenstein, Chris? What? No, there's a maybe. I remember. It's alive.
Yeah, but there's also the one where they like it's a silent film where they like write the text. It's alive in one of those black slides.
I think that
like a Charlie Chaplin almost type of movie.
I'm gonna check this out now because I'm curious.
Look at us all cinephiled
1931.
Okay,
close. That's okay. But that's actually a good movie. Like I watched it, and also the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi. Some of these like old horror movies are actually really good. And not to keep saying it, very good movies to watch. Hi.
Yeah. Here's a question, a little more modern times. I was thinking about this with some people the other day. Has there been a good comedy movie that has come out any time in the last 3-5 years? I'm talking of the caliber of an Old School, a Wedding Crashers, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Knocked Up, anything of that caliber.
Iconic comedies. I don't know the answer.
Quotable, enduring comedy.
Here's the question that I have. Does some time need to pass in order for a movie to become quotable and memorable? Or like, for example, for an Anchorman or an Old School, was that immediate?
Those movies were immediate, but they may have been riding on the explosive success of Will Ferrell and I guess Vince Vaughn. I mean, those guys were so hot at that time.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't, for my money, I can't think. I mean, the last comedy I watched where I thought this is spectacularly funny was Booksmart.
Oh, I loved that.
Which I thought was really, really funny.
I loved it.
But I saw that, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
So maybe that could be one. Is Lady Bird a comedy?
I've never seen it.
That's a really good movie too. But I don't know if you would put it in the comedy category.
Got it.
Whatever.
Got any emails for us?
We have some good emails. This one was a response to the naked parrot conversation.
Good.
So, hey guys, I've never seen my dad fully naked, but have a memory of my mom changing in front of me when I was a kid. She was rocking a serious bush. I couldn't even see her vagina, to be honest. This impacted me because I've never felt insecure about having some hair down there before a hookup. When I was younger, guys seemed to only like it bald. But I equate bald vaginas to prepubescent girls. Like, why do you want me to look like a child? Now that I'm in my late 20s, more men seem to prefer some hair. Most guys don't care. What are your thoughts on hair on a woman? Has it changed as you've gotten older?
Huh.
It's a good question.
Huh. Haven't thought about that.
So I have found in sort of passively surveying my friends that what she's saying is true. The like bald vagina thing, you sort of like realize that it A, doesn't matter, but B, that like the hair adds like an interesting, attractive dimension potentially. And you might like hair in varying degrees. Some people like the landing stripe. Some people like the like above the lip, there's hair, but below it, it's shaved. Some
like
people,
the Hitler mustache?
So that's
Probably
You
should have
could do
said
it like
Charlie
that.
Chaplin.
You could do it like that too, I guess. I've never even
I've
thought of
already
that.
said his name once this podcast. That would have been fine.
That's not the landing strip. That's the helicopter landing pad. I personally have always sort of liked hair.
Huh. Okay.
Whatever, but I'm fine with it, not with like shaved wax, whatever. The problem with the waxed vagina is it sort of starts to look like a chicken elbow. Like, you know, when you get a vacuum packed chicken and it's
Dear
plucked
God.
and it's kind of like squishy. Like there's something about that image that I don't always like. So to be honest, I sort of prefer a little hair to the vacuum packed wing.
I don't think I have anything to add to this. I think you got it all. I think you did everything. You created a very visceral parallel, which sadly made sense and yet was also revolting. A chicken elbow.
The vagina, don't get me wrong. The vagina is a beautiful thing that should be worshipped and appreciated. I'm just saying, you know, as far as the differing styles go.
Right.
Here's a question I have for you though. Like, as far as, have you ever come to know what a woman's preference is as far as a man's pubic hair goes?
Oh,
I feel like there's this kind of like prevailing thought that if you groom it too much, then you're not being manly and that's unattractive. I've heard
is that
before.
true?
If you're grooming too much, like if you're like, I don't know.
So you think just a trim is the right way to go?
In my opinion, whatever. It's not like,
Well, it's funny that you mention that, Giulio, because boy, do I have the tool for you. The Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. Boy, is this puppy purring.
is that a flashlight?
It sure is. You can see everything you're doing, whether you're, rototilling a heavy underbrush or just, I'll stop the purr.
Rototilling.
If you're clearing hedges or you're just keeping the putting green nice and smooth, this puppy's got you covered. It really is the best grooming tool for men and women. I can use it too, I'm sure. This thing, dude, is a revolution. God, do you remember when we first started shaving or trimming our pubic hair?
Yeah.
The nicks and the gouges that you'd get from
Dude,
using nose hair clippers or whatever the hell.
Dude, I looked like, remember when you were a kid and like you had an uncle who would cut himself shaving and he'd show up with pieces of tissue paper on his face? Yes. That's what my penis looked like when I first started trying to trim,
disgusting. That is disgusting.
It is nice to have a nice tool that you can kind of use on your fucking, all the spots and not have to like miss and have just a patchy situation.
I completely agree. This has revolutionized grooming for men. It is absolutely the most advanced skin-safe technology. No snags. Everything's going to make you look nice and smooth. And now they have this great package, actually, which is something they sent me. Chris has it too. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with their crop preserver ball deodorant, just in case you have a lady in your life who likes to really get a whiff of your undercarriage, and also the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. I know this sounds like bowling ball equipment, but it's not. It's the Crop Preserver. It's their anti-chafing ball deodorant, which ensures that your afternoon stroll doesn't end with your balls sticking to your leg.
Oh, God.
Like you're a dog on a hot leather couch.
God.
The toner is also for your balls. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that can give your balls a boost. So treat yourself for making it through quarantine with the Perfect Package 3.0 from Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code OOPS20 at manscaped.com. That's OOPS20 at manscaped.com.
So we're getting close to the apartment situation. We've essentially been approved, like for all intents and purposes. The formal approval hasn't come in yet, but
Really quick, let me pause you.
Yeah.
When you say intents and purposes,
yeah,
how do you think that that's spelled?
for all intents and purposes, INTENTS
Okay,
and purposes.
good. That's right.
Thank you.
A lot of people, myself included, for many years, think and thought that was intensive purposes.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Chris
See,
was today years
Chris
old.
was one
when
of
we
those
learned that.
people, right? Yeah. A lot of people think that. And that kind of makes sense in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things you would never question.
Totally.
Yeah.
It absolutely applies.
Yeah.
Dude, great. Love it.
Sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. So
for all intents and purposes,
for all
you've been
intents and
improved.
purposes, we've been improved, and we're kind of just, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when type of thing.
Got it.
So we're moving into the 14th floor,
Wow, that's the 13th floor, right?
which that famous Mitch Hedberg joke, do you know it? He goes, all those people on the 14th floor, you know what floor you're really on. And I'm wondering, like, would you be weirded out by living on the 13th floor?
I honestly think it's one of the weirdest, dumbest things
Superstitions.
in the world. Because why did that become such a universally enacted nod to superstition? There are so many other superstitions that nobody gives the time of day to, and yet buildings,
I know.
hotels, and structures have universally agreed not to tempt the devil with a button in the elevator that says 13. Why?
It's
Why
crazy.
that one?
I know. It's crazy, man.
Because there are, like, you know, why not? If you step on a crack, you break another's back. Why didn't we just all of a sudden stop making sidewalks with cracks?
I know.
Why name your superstition? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Ladders, don't walk under a ladder. Well, why didn't we develop ladders that are fit snug to the wall?
Right.
Broken mirrors, like why don't we make unbreakable mirrors?
I know.
7 years of bad luck. I mean, why did the 13th floor thing become so omnipresent?
And it's funny too, because the 13th floor, there isn't even like you said, you break the mirror, 7 years bad luck. There isn't even necessarily an outlined consequence.
No.
For 13, it's a very abstract sort of superstition.
Are we certain that buildings don't have 13th floors because of the superstition? Are we sure that that's why?
Chris is going to have to get on this.
Or is that just an urban legend?
I always thought they used it as like a service, or that's where they kept stuff.
No, because they literally just skip it. 13 is 14.
But
Yeah,
is
it
is
goes
that
12,
true in every
14.
building?
No, it's not true in every
It's
building.
true in hotels often.
It's true in many buildings, but I don't think it's universally true.
Yeah.
But it's funny, and I think there's opportunity there for this like stupid superstitions. A friend of mine is this Lebanese guy. One of his friends migrated to Brazil, and he's in Brazil, and he's sitting on the beach, and he looks up on this mountain, and there's this beautiful house on the mountain, and he asks some guy, he's like, "Oh, that house is like great. Like, what's the deal with it?" He goes, "Oh, that house is haunted. There's ghosts." And the guy was like, "Ghosts?" And he just bought the house for like nothing, knocked it down, made a sick house, and now the ghost's house is just his sick house that he got for a good deal.
Wow.
You know, there's a lesson there. It's like don't be superstitious.
Yeah, and
You just
also
don't
look
need to
for
be.
real estate in very spiritual locales,
Totally,
places where people are prone to believing in that sort of thing.
dude. Absolutely.
What's your stance on superstition and the supernatural?
I'm not gonna say that I don't believe in the supernatural. I just don't necessarily think that it's something that needs to be scary. Like
Right.
you don't necessarily need to be scared of it. I'm not gonna say I don't think. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't care enough to think about it. As far as superstition goes, I don't think I would break a mirror. I'd try not to. If I did happen to break one, I don't think I'd be convinced I'd have 7 years bad luck. I try to avoid ladders.
Mhm.
Walking under. I actually try to actively avoid walking under ladders because I'll walk into the street.
My sister, when we were younger, broke a mirror, and my mom told me about it because one day it was just hanging up in the mudroom, and then the next it was gone. And I said, "Mom, what happened to that mirror?" And she said, "Oh, Lyndon broke it." And I go, "Doesn't that mean 7 years?" And my mom cut me off. She goes, "Don't finish the sentence."
Whoa.
She was like, "We know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it."
Whoa.
And fortunately, she's out of the purgatory now.
Oh, that's
The
great.
7 years have passed.
The statute of limitations.
Yeah. And it would be very interesting to look back on that period and see if there were any notable moments of bad luck. Was there an increase in her bad luck during that time?
Well, dude, this is a very interesting conversation because it just proves that sometimes these kind of like ideological assumptions that people make can be dangerous because they're just counterproductive. Like you could look back at those 7 years, nothing bad happened, and you tell somebody who believes that they'd be like, I don't care. Like, it's bad luck, no matter what.
Totally.
Which is why, like, when people talk about, they're like, domestic terrorism is the biggest threat that faces our country, whatever. Like these kind of like white supremacist type of things that have been happening, you know, forever. Oklahoma City bombing, Unabomber, like all these kind of guys. People, to me, that guy is still not as scary as the religious terrorist, because you can't negotiate with the religious terrorist because his boss may or may not exist. The guy who he's receiving his orders from, according to him, isn't around.
Right.
You know, at
Right.
least with the fucking white supremacist guy, there's a guy who's in charge. You can maybe come to some common ground with that guy.
Right.
When ideologies are the things that kind of like run the show, it's impossible to
Completely
reason with
agree. Far easier to furnish someone with a suitcase full of $100,000 in cash than to somehow offer him paradise
right.
and the otherworldly pleasures of like eternity in heaven.
Exactly.
You can't hand that to someone who's got 14 hostages in a bank. All you can hope
Exactly.
for is that one of those hostages took your anti-terrorism hostage class and is going to rise up and somehow create an insurrection
man. Bravo.
against the guy. You have to hope that
Bravo.
they're part of that class.
We got to take it, dude. I'm telling you. That is fucking good stuff.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
Well, I don't know. God.
Chris
I
was
have some stuff about the elevators.
Good.
So apparently Otis Elevators is one of the most popular elevator makers, and apparently estimated in 2002, estimated 85% of buildings skipped the 13th floor.
Wow.
That's
Is there a reason why?
bonkers.
Did they say why?
Superstition.
It is superstition.
And yeah,
Wow.
a very strong. Yeah.
That is beyond belief to me.
That's crazy. That is
Because,
crazy.
okay, here's another one, right? 666 is supposed to be the number of the devil, the mark of the
beast.
devil, right? And you see that number appear. That number doesn't get skipped or omitted. Now, granted, it's a pretty high number, so it doesn't show up on buildings or whatever. But dude, there are plenty of addresses
Totally.
that are 666 whatever.
Yeah.
There are plenty, 13 North Moore Street. Why are we
It's so
giving
true.
addresses the 13 instead of building doors
It's
or numbers?
It's so stupid. It's really
In this
Makes no sense.
Wikipedia article, it says Vancouver banned the practice of skipping 4 and 8 and 13 since it led to mistakes by first responders.
Wow,
oh wow.
that
That's-
makes sense.
That's crazy, dude.
Makes sense.
Dude, a friend of mine plays this really funny prank on me. I don't know what made me think of this, but he will just say, "Hey, dude, I'm here," and he lives in California, so like, there's no way he's gonna be there. He goes, "Come outside, I'm here." I'm like, "No, you're not, dude." And like, not too long ago, he did that, and he was there.
Whoa.
And he didn't tell me he was on the East Coast, and he goes, "Dude, I'm here." And then I go outside, and he's just there.
Yeah, all it takes is one, and then you'll never know.
Exactly. So now I was in Palm Springs, and he goes, "Dude, I'm here," and I'm like, "Fuck!" And I actually go and
You're
check.
just gonna be checking.
My buddy Andy, dude,
Yeah.
very funny prank. Recommend trying that.
You are a pranker. You're
Prankster.
a prankster and a pranky. And that's something that I am not really. But look at you switching my hand lotion and my hand balm.
I got you, dude.
It's funny because after that bit we did on the podcast, so many people DM'd me pictures of the very same brand, the Aesop
Oh yeah.
hand lotion, hand soap that their, significant other had set up. And very often they were right next to each other. And it was funny too, because I had it from both sides. I had men sending me pictures being like, they got me again. And then I had women sending me pictures being like, see how much better it looks. And I also
That's great.
had some people who had split them up and said like, thank God we've fixed this. So, it is a wonderfully specific grievance, and yet one that has been driving me fucking crazy.
Dude, that's very funny. Well,
Yeah.
if you're gonna prank somebody, make sure you do it in a pair of your favorite Bird Dogs.
They
pants.
are the best pants for being pranked in.
Good prankster.
Pranked.
Good prankster.
Yeah.
Good prankster gear
Yeah.
on both sides.
Sure are.
We love those Bird Dogs pants. They're the most comfortable thing ever. I'm literally wearing them right now.
He sure is.
The nice silk lining inside just keeps it cool for all temperature. It's sort of like the equivalent of the seat air conditioner in a car. You know, when you hit the AC, which, by the way, that's another good prank. If you're driving with somebody, Hillary does this to me. Just hit the heaters on theirs. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's funny until, by the way, this is
Your
a dark
ass is
turn in the
sweating.
middle of our ad read. There was a girl that we knew in high school who she was paralyzed. She had become paralyzed and she was in a wheelchair. And one day she got into a car and the seat heat was all the way up and she couldn't feel it, obviously.
no.
And because for some reason it like overworked or was so powerful that it ended up giving her burns on
Oh my
her
God.
legs, and she sued the car company and won a huge settlement.
Jesus. Well, listen, man, if she was wearing Bird Dog pants, that wouldn't have happened
It's
because the silk
possible.
lining would have absorbed the heat.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know,
This might be
hindsight's
the
2020.
last Bird Dogs read we ever knew. No, but they are the best pants for everything, you know, whether you're in a hostage situation or riding an elevator to the 14th floor. We love our Bird Dogs pants. If you use promo code OOPS right now on your first order, you'll get a pair of nunchucks, which are terrific for fighting off all those ghosts and goblins you might encounter. Go to birddogs.com, promo code OOPS, and you'll get those nunchucks. Do it today.
Okay, so dude, I want to give a little challenge to our listeners.
Good.
If you're feeling anxiety and you have sort of tasks that you need to get done, whatever, and you just haven't been doing it, my challenge to you this week is to just do it. Just do the task. Like if you just do stuff, the stuff you've been planning to do, oh, I need to make a dentist appointment. Oh, I need to change the thing. Oh, I need to buy a nail clipper. Oh, I need to, whatever the fuck it is you need to do. If you just go and do all those things, you're going to have a way better week.
Okay, so I'm gonna call you on something here.
Okay.
Do you think that advice, and I'm genuinely asking, do you think that advice is helpful?
To me, yeah. I mean, I'm literally saying this because I've been on top of my like little tasks in the past couple weeks and it's made me feel so much better.
Were you able to be more productive about your little tasks because you had what you just said in mind?
The specific things that I
You
just
said,
listed.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to go do it today.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where like my calendar just looked dense, but like with a bunch, like some things were important, some things weren't that important. But at the end of the day, when I actually just did the things, they didn't take that long. Like I kind of create this illusion in my brain that whatever I have to do is going to be so hard to do. And it just never is. Nothing is ever like as hard as it seems like it's going to be when you actually do it. Maybe there's exceptions to that, I'm sure. But
Okay. So here's the thing. If and I'm going to sound like an asshole here, and I apologize, but that advice would not work for me.
why?
It's too vague. Go do it. Go do the thing. To me, that's like, do you ever read, sort of, I don't want to say self-help books, but
No.
sort of like the ego is
No.
the something,
No.
or whatever
I don't.
those people, I don't even know what they're fucking called. All the ones that people read, the big ones, The Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah, but
You've read those? Have you
no,
read any
I
of
have
those?
not. But dude, what I'll say to what you just said to me is that I felt like I outlined fairly specific examples.
You did. But it wasn't until you said my calendar was too full and I started actually diving in and chipping away that I felt a lot better. That was concrete advice.
Got it.
But, and I'm not equating you to
It's
this.
okay. I don't feel defensive.
But those
It's
guys
okay.
like Tony Robbins
Mhm.
and those guys who stand in front of massive congregations, whether it's a religious service
Like, you can
or
do it.
yeah, or just
Dump
like
your
a
girlfriend in front of all
motivational
of us.
speakers,
Yeah.
whatever it is, none of that advice ever sticks with me. It doesn't hold.
Interesting.
If I needed life advice, the only way I could actually get it would be to hire somebody who could then look through my day, look through my affairs, and then specifically outline
Like a
what I had
consultant.
to do to feel better.
Right.
Here's what I mean.
No, I get what you mean. I'm saying like you don't feel like sort of these vague statements about, going for it and not being afraid, not caring what other people think.
Correct.
Like that kind of
Coach
stuff is like
speak.
yes.
Coach speak.
Right.
We played sports our whole lives. Yours was tennis. Mine tended to be more like a little bit more meatheady, lacrosse,
Right.
soccer coaches. I mean, the soccer coaches I had tended to be meathead soccer coaches. But thinking back on the like lessons that they provided us, none of it all just washed over me.
Yeah.
You either got excited and tried to hurt people or you didn't. And if you did, you won. Sometimes if you didn't, you lost. But nothing they said, there were no lessons that stuck with me through life.
But you don't like, there's definitely principles of sports that are applicable to life as far as like trust the process. I think that's a good overarching one.
What does that mean?
It means that, for example, you're in the gym every day, right? Busting your ass and you're not seeing results right away, but you know that this is part of a greater plan to get yourself in better shape to whatever. And it could be the same thing for comedy. You know what I mean? Like trust the process, right? Every day for a few hours. You might not think of anything funny that day, but if you do it over time, it'll add up to you being funnier or whatever, like that sort of thing.
Okay, that's fair. But again, I would need you to extrapolate as you did in order to have a fucking clue what you meant by that.
Totally.
And when you hear all of these just broad, totally simple sayings that, you might see written on a little piece of paper above a whiteboard in a 7th grade classroom.
Carpe diem.
Like unknown quotes that aren't even attributed to a certain speaker. Whatever it is, I become numb to them.
Mm-hmm.
I become numb to trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that and it bounces off me. I have no idea how to let that actually sink in and to process it.
Right.
Until you said what you did.
So it resonates with me, and maybe it's because like I had to do that sort of like be like, what does this really mean type of thing. I like that one. But I agree. And I think I agree, especially in the fact that the culture is so off-putting that it makes me less likely to be involved. Like I had friends who tried to like recruit me for Landmark. You remember that thing? You ever hear of that?
Sounds like a cult.
It's sort of like it's like a self-help thing. I don't know if it's like a pyramid scheme or whatever it is, but I
have heard of that.
And it's this sort of thing where you go and it makes you feel better about yourself, whatever. But like, there's something about lost people being able to get recruited for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm a lost person.
No.
To be honest, I'm knock on wood I'm pretty happy. I like what I like and I'm fine with that. I don't need people. I don't need validation. Like I don't feel like a person who needs that stuff.
Right.
However, there's definitely, like I said, we'll trust the process, I guess the one we're going to talk about. But like little like knick-knack quotes like that aren't necessarily lost on me. Like they can be useful sometimes.
Interesting.
Or little just like motivational shit. I don't know.
All right. So it's a very interesting point because I understand that when people are trying to offer advice that resonates with the broadest group of people, they have to keep the advice broad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas when you actually want to make a dramatic change in someone's life, it's much more helpful to get in there, get your hands on the problem, sense how they're living, and then prescribe a new day for them.
Totally.
And unfortunately, you can only help one person at a time like that.
True. However, once you can kind of say we get into your day or whatever, whoever's day, and we're like, change this, this, and this, by changing that for one day, that's not going to do anything. You have to change it over a period of time, like habitually change up your thing, which then is how a trust the process quote would apply.
Yes.
Do this every day, eat smaller portions, exercise in the morning, whatever the fuck it is that you need to do. Go for a walk in the morning without your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And those things will hopefully aggregate over time.
Yes, you're right. And we have offered a lot of concrete points over the course of this podcast which I think if people were to take them in some would move mountains.
Yeah.
And you know, things as simple as having the right breakfast, having the right meals, the exercise thing, going to bed early, and staying off your phone. I think, like, to me, those are the let's call them the pillars of Oops.
Those are great. No, those are like, absolutely. Those are
Yeah.
helpful things that we've definitely offered to people. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. You know, I had a guy who messaged me a month ago, and he was pretty down. I think I brought him up, and he has since lost like 16 pounds.
Great.
He's feeling a lot better. He hit me up again with a progress report. And the first time, you know, I responded to him, and he was like, you seem to have a pretty strict routine. Can you kind of offer me some tips? And he just kind of caught me at the right moment where I ended up sending him like 15 to 20 messages. Like just nailing, like I was a relentless,
You're like, this is
annoying
what-
texter. He
Right.
didn't bargain for it. I was just vomiting ideas at him. And I don't know if he ended up following all of those, but I was so happy to hear that he had made so much progress, and I was proud of this guy.
Absolutely.
And,
And it's nice that you could be helpful.
yeah, but I don't know if there's a way to write out like a very specific list for everyone. I don't know how.
So that's the other thing though, man. Sometimes big change is simple, and it's just about sort of repetition that makes it so.
Yeah.
Going to bed early, that's a simple thing. Eating less, that's a simple thing. It's like, it's not rocket science. Like, I know that's sort of like a cliche term when people talk about weight loss or whatever. A lot of the time it's simple, and it's just about like being able to do the necessary steps.
Yeah.
You know, all right. So not to interrupt this combo, but we got a funny email that is based off of what you were just saying.
Good.
To a degree about
Bring it.
breakfast.
Bring it on.
Hey, love the podcast. Can Francis please give step by step with a full ingredient list of his overnight oats recipe? I tried to listen to this. I tried to make some the other day off an internet recipe, and honest to God, I've swallowed loads that tasted better.
Okay. Yes, I will happily deliver the overnight oats recipe as quickly as possible
go.
for those people who don't give a shit. You take your oats, rolled oats, just get a bunch of those, right? I take a sort of a big, let's call it a big mason jar, or if you want to put it in a bowl, whatever, it doesn't matter. Fill it halfway up with the oats. And then I fill it about, let's say, so now we're at 50%. I then fill up to about 85% with oat milk. Then I put in unsalted almond butter, and I mix that up as best as I can with the oats. It takes a little bit, but you got to really stir it. Then I put in, I don't know, a couple squirts of agave to sweeten it. And then I put in a bunch of cinnamon, and I think that's it. I close the lid or cover it, and I let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. The next morning, I will portion out, or if you have the discipline to actually eat from the bowl, you can. I'll portion out my breakfast, you know, whether it's like a cup of it or something, but I will dice a banana over the top, and you can throw some blueberries on there too. And that's your breakfast. And it's really dense, and yet it's a nice complex carbohydrate. It's easy for your body to break down. It doesn't make you tired. It makes you feel full enough until lunch, but you're also hungry by lunch. And that's the breakfast. It's super
great.
simple. You just make like, each time I make it, I make 3 to 4 days worth so that I don't have to make it all the time. And that's my overnight oat. You can mess with the amount of agave you put in depending on how sweet you want it. Same is true of the almond butter.
So I've been hitting overnight oats for the past couple of months too. And I know Chris likes them too, partially from your recommendation. Also, it was like my nutritionist recommended it as well. So what I do though, I only make individual portions because I'll eat too much if I make 5 days worth.
Interesting.
Because I don't have the discipline, because I love them so much that I'll just keep crushing.
Really?
So I'll make one, I put it in a little mug, And I do something similar. I was using regular rolled oats. Now I've been using steel cut oats, which
Those are actually better for you.
I've been enjoying it.
Steel coat, I don't like them that much. So that's
They're
why I
not as good,
recommended
right?
it. But those are definitely healthier for you.
So and then I have some similar, recipe to what you've been doing. But it's definitely really delicious.
It's funny. I don't feel the need to keep eating overnight oats. Like I don't think they're that delicious.
I really enjoy them. It's so nice to like go to bed not feeling all fucking full and gross and like wake up empty stomach, ready to crush some overnight oats.
Yeah.
It's a nice routine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got an email here. I think this is a person who can use our help. So it's nice to be, helpful, useful, whatever. All right, so this is called Girlfriends Still Hang Out with My Ex.
Huh.
Okay, so my ex and I broke up about 1.5 years ago, and we were together for 3 years. Before we even dated, we had the same group of friends, and my friends always got along with him well. Since we've broken up...
I always get confused. Just make it easier. Is this email from a woman or a man?
This is from a woman.
So she's talking about her male ex.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can you start it over for my sake? I'm stupid.
No worries. Okay, so my ex and I broke up about 1.5 years ago, and we were together for 3 years. Before we even dated,
Dude, you're not going to believe this. I've already forgotten. I've already forgotten if this is a woman or a man. It's a woman writing the email about her male ex-boyfriend.
Correct.
So this is going towards a place of her girlfriends still hang out with the guy.
Correct.
Okay, now I've got the whole picture. I don't know why that's so confusing. I needed help. All right,
okay.
Here we go.
All right,
you don't have to start over. Pick it up.
Okay, before we even dated, we had the same group of friends, and my friends always got along with him well. Since we have broken up, my group of friends have been on several ski trips together and have excluded to invite me because he was going. In their defense, I worked tax season, and they just assumed I wouldn't be able to go. However, last weekend, they invited me on a girls' ski trip. I wanted to go, but I had to work. Well, the weekend rolls around, and I see Snapchat of the, quote, girls' trip with 6 of my friends, one of their boyfriends, and my ex. No one told me he was going. Am I crazy for being upset about this?
Yeah, it sounds like he's piping at least 5 of those friends. Gosh,
This is a good topic in general. The idea of sort of like, I don't necessarily think it's some capital sin to date within the friend group. Like, who fucking cares? People love each other. Let them try. It doesn't need to mean that the group falls apart afterward.
Correct.
When people are like, oh, they started dating. Rah. I think you need to get over that. But, when things are over, I think that it's important to kind of set boundaries and expectations with at least being like, guys, I'm still a little uncomfortable about this. Can you let me know when he's going to be there type thing?
Right. She could say something to her friends. I guess the question is, was she better friends with these girls than he was?
It sounds like it, right?
Was it clear to you that friend group came from her origins rather than his origins?
It's funny. I thought that same thing. And I think that there was some kind of implication that it's like the girls. So therefore it's like they're closer.
Right.
That's what I assumed.
Interesting.
But
Well, I mean, the first problem is like, what does it mean to work tax season? She an accountant? That's what that means?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's ski season, That's
tough.
the ski season.
That's tough.
So maybe plan a beach trip and hope that he works for a bathing suit company.
But it's important to note that, if you guys are both friends with the group, you need to figure out some way to come to terms with the fact that he's going to be around. Now, no one's saying you have to be fine with chilling with him all the time. That might be too hard for you at the moment. But I think that the eventual goal should be for everybody to be able to hang out again. You owe your friend group that.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Have you ever seen that work, though?
I have.
Really?
Yeah. It's happened to me. It's really grueling to get there, though.
Brutal.
It's grueling to get there.
It's brutal for everybody.
But it's worth a try.
Dude, I watched this couple where it was a summer and they had been dating for 2 years, and her friends and his friends were all hanging out. There were multiple people from each group like hooking up, whatever it was, and they broke up. But they had been by far the most serious bridge between the two groups. They had dated officially for 2 years. Everyone else was kind of just goofing around. And they broke up, and she didn't see it coming, and it was really sad. You know, he was nice about it, but it was sad and difficult because they didn't have anything necessarily wrong. There just wasn't enough right. And that can be a hard thing to understand. And every time the groups would come together, right? She would just be not present and very focused on where he was, who he was talking to. She would get sad. She would start crying. He would feel bad. He would have to try to help. And then so often, she would come up to him or he would come up to her and say, "Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?"
Oh, God.
And they would go off and have these one-on-one conferences. It's straight out of
It's rough, man.
Of the show Summer House, of like a Bravo TV show. Is there anything worse than when you're with a group of people and nobody cares about anything other than having fun, and then someone comes up to someone else and says, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?"
The only thing worse is being cut out of season 3 of Summer House.
Did that happen?
Yes, I was cut out.
You were supposed to be on the show?
I was on an episode. I went over to play tennis with Hannah.
Oh. I
That's
thought
the
you
only
meant
thing
like a
worse.
full-on cast member.
No.
Yeah, that
I made a
is too
cameo,
bad.
and they didn't value my cameo at all, and it bothers me a bit. But you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, have you been watching this new season?
No, how is it?
I wasn't watching it. I didn't even. I
forgot that it was happening because I guess COVID. I guess they still did it.
They did it in the quarantine, and
Yeah.
allow us to just really quickly mention it because we've had Carl Radke on the show, we've had Hannah Berner on the show. I love Paige DeSorbo a lot, and I like all those people. They're all fun people. The show is preposterous. It's preposterous, and this most recent season, I wasn't planning on watching it, but two of my guy friends love it. And they said they reached out to me and they were like, "Man, you got to see this. Have you been keeping up with Summer House?" And I was like,
It's
"No."
crazy.
And dude, poor Hannah has been kind of the most volatile person on the show.
Oh no,
she's had the biggest blow up so
Hannah,
far.
come on, Hannah.
Well, it was kind of deserved. I mean, she was warranted. She was mad that guy Luke Goldbranson or whatever was sort of stringing her along. But this is the thing that stood out to me is that the frequency with which people on this show say to one another, "Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?"
Right, and we've talked about this a bit, but it's incredible how when you're given that sort of world to live in, you effectively kind of like play ball. You lean into like
you have
the drama, and you're almost looking forward to drama because it makes for better TV, and you know that.
Yeah, you better buy in.
And I don't think it's fake. I think there's this thing where it just like turns your brain in a way where like you communicate openly now, like all these things, which is it's really an interesting thing.
But I think, and this was something I learned at Barstool too, because at Barstool, there was some element of that reality TV show shit where a lot of the feuds were elevated and had out in front of cameras or on radio shows. And in the moment, it was real. You were angry and you hated the person. But the pace of the narratives at Barstool and the stories moved so fast that by the next day, focus had shifted to something else. And you kind of just forgot about the fight that you'd had.
Crazy.
So grudges weren't harbored for that long.
And that's a product of open communication too. You move on from things.
Yeah. I think that's very true.
Crazy, man.
Oh,
Oops, the fucking podcast,
dude.
baby.
Take us out.
We love you guys. Thank you for listening, supporting us. Shoot us an email, shoot us a message. We love to hear from you. We love to talk. We love to talk to you. I'm at Not Giulio. He's at Francis C.C. Ellis. Follow our Instagram at Oops the Podcast. Email us oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Watch the YouTube channel. Subscribe. All that stuff. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. If you like this video, we have a bunch more. Just like and subscribe to our channel, and you can get all the videos you want.
Oops.